Welcome to the Grown Ass Man Show.
Buddy,
Welcome back.
welcome back. Get Dave, Nick, and Josh here. And, we're kind of excited. We're going to talk about, I guess, the Las Vegas Black Knights, huh?
Or Aces, it hasn't been totally decided.
Yeah, because I really don't like the Black Knights name. I really don't know who's on this naming
But
committee.
I don't know. Maybe we can hashtag it Black Knights Matter. I don't
Black
know.
Knights, yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Because why don't they just call it the Vegas Knights?
Vegas Knights, that sounds cooler.
Because you know what?
Right. And why they got to be black? You know what I mean?
Hot Vegas Knights?
Well,
something
and
like
they
that?
get pulled over on 50.
I was going to say they get pulled over.
Yeah, dude.
Start every game 15 minutes late.
Yeah.
Come on.
White hockey players never get pulled over. This is going to be pulled over every 10 minutes.
Anyway,
we just show up angry, ready to play hockey.
we digress. But it's actually exciting for the city because we have a venue already built, the T-Mobile Arena, right behind the Monte Carlo. It's brand new, state of the art, just like every stadium ever built. As soon as it's built, everybody says it's state of the art,
Yeah,
of course.
it's right next to
and
ours.
10 years later, it's a shithole, and they need to build a new one for whatever reason.
For free.
Yeah, on the taxpayer dime.
Yeah, that's the thing. At least MGM paid for this one.
Yeah.
You know,
So
give them that.
yeah, I will say that. It looks like the actual expansion fee is going to be $500 million, which
That's
is
3 hockey teams.
Well, in
So
2000,
who's
in
gonna come up with
2000
that?
when it was the Minnesota Wild and the Columbus Blue Jackets, it was about $80 million. I mean, that's a steep rise, and it goes to show you also how much corporate profits, things like that, have just absolutely skyrocketed to create those types of numbers. But as Vegas residents, we're excited for it. I'm a big hockey fan. Obviously, I'm a Blues fan, and I'll be able to see them every year. And there's already and there's now we're looking at there's over 15,000 season tickets sold. And a lot of people wondered if Vegas would support professional sports.
Yeah, it was just going to be interesting to see if they could support a hockey team, and that would be a good test to see about an NFL team.
You know how I feel about them getting an NFL team. Cause
I mean, I know that we got the Area 51s, and they have dollar beer nights, and they can't get anybody in that stadium.
you know what? I hit a home run at the damn to get shrimp cocktail for everybody.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even let me run the bases, but. I digress. I'm still pissed about that. But you know what? And, I've had some of the greatest nights in.
Out there running bases.
Well, fuck that. You hit a home run, Roy Hobbs, motherfucker.
Roy Hobbs.
But they had the Wonder Bread night where they give you 2 loaves of bread when you get. Man, I had I woke up the next morning. I had like 8 loaves of bread and not one was edible because I think I slept on all of them.
Yeah, but though that's also a far cry from a professional team in a professional arena, and it's going to be really good. And now the way that this town is set up, it's a really corporate town. It's very business oriented. Most of these seats in a lot of stadiums are purchased up by big corporations. They do a lot of advertising. They do that sort of thing. And there's going to be people that are going to be coming in as high rollers. Some of them know hockey, some of them don't give a shit about it. They just want to bet on something, and who knows what's going to happen.
Well, that makes it interesting.
And it's going to be interesting because you may have the first remote betting stations inside of a professional sports arena. I think that it probably won't happen. You're going to have guys running out of the back of that place in between periods, running to the Monte Carlo to go and take. The lines for different periods and everything, but
They might not even allow that at all. It's possible that MGM might not be able to take
they may not.
We don't know what the game is.
Well, here's the thing.
I remember the Palms weren't allowed to. You weren't allowed to bet on basketball, and the Maloofs owned the.
Kings,
at Caesars you weren't allowed to bet on the Celtics because Gary London was one of the owners of the
So
Celtics.
I don't know how that's going to play out either.
But it's just they're going to
hockey anyway.
They're going to. I do, but. But what they're going to do is do it like they did UNLV. They'll be like, well, you know what? If they're going to bet on it, they're going to bet on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna think there's obviously no collusion. There's I'm sorry. The mob is long gone from Vegas. There's no collusion going on with these professional teams, and it's
it's not. If it's only that, but everybody tries to talk about it. It's like
if it's any mobsters that are wearing tight suits looking like they're wearing their
they make a lot more money doing this legally than they'd ever make doing it illegally.
Well,
That's
what you have to look at is for anybody. They talk about some of these professional games. I mean, to get to a player, I mean, you're talking about who can influence a game. Let's just say
the easiest thing is to get to the refs. If something
absolutely. But even those
That's
guys make enough of a living that it's not totally worth it to them.
No.
A lot of those guys make high six figures. There's NBA refs that make a lot of money.
$250,000 a year, but obviously like basketball, if you call a foul here or traveling there, it can change the outcome of the game.
Well, even Donaghy didn't say
offside
he said
football. It can change.
Donaghy even said that. He wasn't changing the outcomes of games. He was just changing the over-unders. And that's really what he did, because you could do that basically by fouls, knowing that, on average, if you call a guy to a line, enough times.
50-50, really.
Well, yeah, but those professionals, even across the board average to best to worst, you're looking at about 75% make rate.
Yeah.
So, you call 5 extra fouls, that's 7 points. Your average.
Remember, he had that website called SmokingWhistle.com. And he would not look at who was playing, the teams that were playing, just on the referees, and he would go off their tendencies, what they would bet. So the referees would bet. And
there's a very good correlation.
Really?
Because they're all human. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's collusion, that they're trying to do something, but umpires have different strike zones.
That's true. So a real good better would know that, would we pay attention to that? Who the fuck are the refs in the game? Who's the ump in the game?
Absolutely.
Go, you know what? That ump kind of calls that pitch of strikes a little high sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And
Major League Baseball really broke my heart when they said, well, we're going to get the Quest check in there. And they Quest check calls it at the knees, width of the plate, shoulders. That's a strike. Well, they tell these dudes when they're going to do it. I'm like, don't tell them, because it was a pretty bad. I know
it's probably a players union though.
But you know what? I mean, I know he's from Las Vegas and he's a hometown boy. Greg Maddux used to get some calls.
The Bobby Cox strike zone.
Yeah.
That's why they won one World Series and they went to several. They won the division, 20 years in a row? That's the Bobby Cox strike zone. Those guys were not that dominant in the playoffs once they got out of the National League. Once you had American League umpires that didn't have Bobby Cox in their ear for 6 months a year all summer, they weren't getting the same calls. That's why they got generally dominated in a lot of World Series.
Greg Maddux could roll the ball up there, they called it a strike.
Yeah.
So, real quick though, back to the hockey team. Explain to me how they can do an expansion with one team. How does that happen? How does 31 teams?
Is it 31?
They're the 31st team.
Yeah.
So doesn't that, obviously I'm not a mathematician here, but odd number of teams in divisions doesn't seem to add up to me.
One division, they're gonna be in the Pacific Division,
which
is also the Coyotes, Sharks, and Kings, and obviously the Ducks. Sorry. So you're just gonna have one division that's gonna have one more team. That's all it is. And it's going to be neither here nor there because the way I believe they do the seeding, they do a 1 through 8 seeding.
Off record, they don't go by divisions. It isn't like you win a division.
No, but I think that they change the seeding based off of who wins their division. But if you're in the top 8, you're in the top 8.
So the top 4 out of one division could make if they had the best record, which kind of seems impossible to by playing each other a lot.
Yeah, I don't think it's very likely. But like last year in baseball. You had 3 teams from the National League Central that ended up technically being the playoffs. They had won the wild card playing game, which I think is bullshit.
Well, the one thing is that the thing happens in the NFL all the time. The last 3 years in a row, 3 of the teams of the AFC North all made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All 3 except for the Browns every time.
Every time.
None of those 3 got very far, but
so yeah. Vegas can support a hockey team and a professional franchise.
Yeah, this is a good test. This is a good litmus test.
And I think that you're going to see the first city, and hopefully we get the Raiders. That's another thing. But I think you're going to see the first. You're going to see.
I'm a Raider fan. I don't want them in Las Vegas because
I cannot wait to stop being a Browns fan and start rooting for the Las Vegas Raiders.
I'm from St. Louis. I had my team stolen from me twice, so I just want another one.
I always love the Browns, but I think I have a new team I can like if they come in.
Yeah, but they were talking about it. I was reading an article and they were saying look for Seattle or Portland to be the 32nd team.
Oh, for hockey?
For hockey.
Well, yeah, it makes sense to me. Then it should be 2 expansions.
And then they're probably going to kick St. Louis
Albuquerque
or they would kick St. Louis to the east.
Yeah, that makes sense. Travel-wise, it makes sense.
Or the Blackhawks, and because the Blackhawks are crying, and the Wirtz family pretty much runs the league. They ran the league for years.
Yeah. I mean, it does make a lot of sense for Chicago or St. Louis to be as far east as they are to be in the West.
There's also a little rumor that the Fertittas sold the UFC for $4.3 billion.
But there's also a lot going on that hasn't happened. But if they can get that, they need to get that because it'll never be worth that anymore.
Yeah,
I think that is such a bloated valuation of a franchise. Of an organization. It's obscene. It is not worth that.
Yeah, and it's not a sport.
Don't want the Fertittas.
Right, I don't argue on the merit that it's not a sport because it is. But I mean, $4.3 billion for the UFC. I mean, come on.
That's a lot. That's a lot of.
They value Airbnb at $45 billion, and they don't own anything. But anyway,
right.
So yeah, guys. So hey, I'm excited about the hockey team. Let's see what happens, and we're gonna go sketch you some games. We're going to Man Show live from one of those games.
Absolutely. You know what? I can't wait to get my sweater, my hockey sweater.
Maybe in there. Maybe we'll let.
I get to see Alex Ovechkin, my favorite player.
Yeah.
And my Red Wings.
But, all right, guys. Yeah. So, peace out.
Thanks.
Holla.
All right, cool. That's a fucking long episode.
No, but that's fucking badass.
Oh, it was a lot in there.
We meandered through some shit.
What's that?
We meandered through some shit.
Yes, we did. Oops.